Alright, so Genshin Impact came out last night, and oh man, that much more less bad. About to say, if you like me, you probably want to know how the heck you can get this to run on your. I'm not personally running a complete potato, but if you have a potato system, you might be wondering best settings for you. Hopefully, this video will at least answer that. So I haven't seen anything talking about best graphics settings. If you're like me, that's probably one of the first things you try to figure out. So we're going to be showing off all the presets and then each individual setting. The base guideline I'm going to be using is the default setting, aka low, which is what this is currently set to, and we will be using this view right here. Okay, so before we start, I do just want to throw out real quick some different specs. So my computer that I'm going to actually be testing this on is running an Intel i7 770 HQ, 2.8 gigahertz. It can overclock itself to, I believe it's only supposed to be 3.2, but I've seen it gain up to, especially on this game and like Monster Hunter 3.4. A GTX 1050 with 12 gigabytes RAM. Minimum requirements are going to actually be an Intel i5 or equivalent, a NVIDIA GTX 1030, and 8 gigabytes of RAM with. They recommend about 30 gigabytes of storage, although right now I want to say the game's only around 12 or 13. And then recommended is Intel i7 or better. A GTX 1060 with 16 gigabytes of RAM. And once again, the recommend setting aside 30 gigabytes. It's not being fully used yet. So one quick thing I do want to point out as well. All of these tests are going to be done using full screen 1080 by 1920 with VSync on. FPS will fluctuate depending on what the preset is, although once we are through looking at the presets, I will be setting it permanently to 60 so that we can get a better comparison between all the individual settings. So these right here are the absolute lowest of the low settings. This everything is set to the minimum, and this is the lowest preset that you can possibly obtain in the game. So this is going to be the low / default graphics presets. Do know FPS is still locked at 30. You have to be medium or higher to actually get off of 30 and up to 60. But yeah, here is the settings. So these right here are the medium preset settings for graphics. Note that the FPS is finally up to a full 60 FPS. Alright, so these are the high preset settings. This is also the highest preset that you can get, although do note, and you will notice as we go through, that some of these do actually have higher settings. So do please keep that in mind, that these are technically not the highest that you can get. You will see those down the line. So for those of you who are curious, I did crank everything up to the highest. Note that only overall settings and anti-aliasing were not set to the highest potential. Okay, so one quick note before I start talking about render resolution. There is actually no exact 1 for this. The closest is going to actually be 1.1, so keep that in mind. I don't know why they did it like this. It's really wonky. So this is the game at 0.8 render resolution. This is the game at 1.1 render resolution. This is the game at 1.2 render resolution. This is the game at 1.3 render resolution. This is the game at 1.4 render resolution. And this is the game at 1.5 render resolution. Okay, so now let's get into shadow quality. This is with the shadow quality set to low. This is with the shadow quality set to medium, and this is with the shadow quality set to the highest, aka high. Okay, so these are going to be the visual effects, and this is visual effects at lowest. This is with visual effects set to low. This is with visual effects set to medium. And this is with visual effects cranked up to high. So for special effects, I'm actually going to run up and I'm going to be using the player character's E ability as effects, as the special effects is actually going to be like the skills and attacks of your characters and enemies. So these are special effects set to low. Sorry, dude. This is the special effects quality set to medium. And this is with the special effects quality set to high, which is the highest available setting. Okay, so this is going to be overall settings, and this is overall settings on the lowest setting. This is overall settings on the low setting. This is overall settings set to medium. This is overall settings set to high. And this is overall settings cranked up to the highest setting. So these are the anti-aliasing settings, and this is anti-aliasing set to none. This is anti-aliasing set to SMAA. And this is anti-aliasing set to TAA. And the final setting here is motion blur. This is motion blur set to off. And this is motion blur set to on. And yeah, that is all of the settings within Genshin Impact's graphics menu. So hopefully you guys found this helpful. This is the first time I've ever actually done something like this. So if you have any suggestions for improvement, I would love to hear that in case I ever decide to do this again. And if this actually did end up helping you, a like would be appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the next one.